All right, let's dive into Himachal Pradesh today. But, we're not doing the typical touristy stuff, mountains and all that. We're going deeper.
Right.
We're looking at language. Specifically, all those dialects.
Yeah.
And we found this fascinating article, really digs into how these dialects are like way more than just like regional accents.
Oh, absolutely.
They're like these records of culture,
Yeah.
history, and even like the soul of the region almost.
Absolutely. It's like a hidden language.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll be looking at how they're like intertwined with the actual physical landscape,
Yeah.
the religion, and even politics.
Yeah, it's fascinating how deeply connected those languages are to the environment.
Yeah.
And to have you here to guide us through all this.
Yeah, well, I'm really curious about something the article mentioned. It's how the landscape itself kind of speaks through these dialects.
Right. Well, let's take, for example, Kullu.
Okay.
It's part of the Western Pahari branch of the Indo-Aryan language family.
Good.
And a lot of the words in Kullu, they don't just like name a mountain or a river.
Right.
They actually like capture the feeling
Oh, wow.
or the essence, associated with that place.
So it's like not just Mountain X, it's more about like the
Everyone-
spirit of it.
It's like, imagine a word that makes you think about a huge peak,
Yeah.
and it's also got like the feel of the wind
Yeah.
going through those pine trees.
Yeah.
And that feeling of awe when you're just standing there at the bottom.
Yeah. That's it's powerful.
It is.
It really is.
It's like the landscape is part of the language itself.
That makes me think about how someone from, say, Delhi might experience the region
Uh-huh.
compared to, someone who grew up speaking Kullu or any of the other local dialects that
Yeah.
got like a deeper connection, almost like a secret language to unlock it all.
It is. And there's a folk tale
Okay.
from the Chamba region
Mhm.
told in the Chambiali dialect, and it's about a mountain spirit that protects the valley. And the story uses particular words to describe how the spirit moves
Oh,
and
wow.
what its powers are.
Okay.
And they sound like the wind
Uh-huh.
and the water rushing through the region.
Yeah.
So to someone who understands Chambiali,
Right.
the story just comes alive.
Wow.
And they connect to the landscape on like a much deeper level.
That's incredible. So the dialect itself is like a key to
Yeah.
understanding not just the stories, but the whole region.
Yeah, and it's not just folk tales. The article talks about how religious texts
Oh, right.
and myths
Yeah.
are interpreted differently through these dialects.
Oh, interesting.
So like how those religious texts and the oral histories are shared,
Mm-hmm.
they offer this really interesting look at how people have adapted their beliefs
Right.
to the environment and their experiences.
Yeah.
For example, some local dialects, they have
Yeah.
unique interpretations of those Hindu deities.
Yeah.
And often they associate them with specific mountains or rivers or even natural phenomenons.
It's almost like each dialect has its own version of the story, right?
Yes.
Shaped by living so close to the land.
Exactly.
It makes me wonder, though, like when people move away from those communities
Yeah.
or when like outside influence comes in,
Right.
what happens then?
That's the big question.
Yeah.
And that really highlights the challenges that these dialects face today.
Right.
On the one hand, you've got things like migration
Mm-hmm.
and globalization.
Right.
And that can lead to a decline in the use of local languages,
Especially with the younger generation.
especially with the younger generations.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Because Hindi or English are more widely spoken.
Yeah, I can imagine it's tempting
Yeah.
to use a language that everyone understands,
Yeah,
especially with the internet and all that.
exactly.
It's all English, it's all Hindi.
Yeah, and that's where that whole idea of identity politics comes into play.
Okay.
Because there's this growing movement in Himachal Pradesh to preserve these dialects.
Right.
Not just as something old, but as something that's part of their identity
Right.
and their cultural autonomy.
So it's more than just like keeping the language alive. It's
Yeah.
about like empowering them to hold on to their heritage.
Yeah.
It's almost like a form of resistance, isn't it?
It is. It is. A lot of people see reviving these dialects as pushing back against globalization
Right.
and saying, hey, local knowledge and traditions are important.
Yeah.
And this can be done in many ways,
Mm-hmm.
from advocating to use the dialects in schools to even organizing those cultural events and festivals that celebrate them.
And that makes me think about tourism,
Yeah.
It can be good for these communities bringing in money,
Yeah.
but I also imagine it could threaten their linguistic heritage.
Right, it's a very fine line.
Yeah.
And the article does talk about that, about the worry of commodifying the local culture just for tourists.
Right.
It's about respecting these dialects. Right.
And the people who speak them, not turning them into a tourist attraction.
That makes sense. It sounds like there's a lot to think about.
There is.
From actually, like, documenting the languages to the bigger implications for their cultural identity.
Yeah.
Before we dive into all that, though, I'd love to hear a little bit more about how these dialects express themselves, especially in religion and spirituality.
All right. You know, reading about these dialects, it really hit me just how connected they are to the religious and spiritual practices in Himachal Pradesh.
Yeah.
It goes beyond just the words themselves. You know, it's about how they create this sense of place and connection to the divine.
That's really interesting. Do you have, like, an example of how that actually works?
Sure. Imagine you're at a temple in the Kullu Valley, and you hear those priests chanting, you know, in Kullu, the local dialect there, and the sounds of the language itself.
Mixed with the incense and seeing those mountains all around you, it creates this experience that's really powerful, you know?
Right. It's like it's adding another dimension to it.
It is.
That you wouldn't get from just like a standard Hindi translation.
Exactly. And these dialects often have their own unique interpretations of those religious texts and stories. For example, there's a local deity in the Canon region, Shishu, and he's associated with protecting livestock. And in the Kanari dialect, there are specific words and stories about Shishu that you wouldn't find in, like, regular Hindu texts, you know? And these localized beliefs, they really show that close tie between the people and their environment, how they've made those spiritual practices a part of everyday life.
So it's like more than translating the ideas. It's about how those ideas have been, like, lived out by people,
for just
generations, expressed through their own dialects. That's really fascinating. But if language can be so unifying, especially in religion, how does it also become a source of tension? Like the article mentioned.
Yeah, that's an important point, because while language can bring people together, it can also be used to, you know, to set boundaries and show differences. And that's where the politics of language comes in, especially when it comes to identity. In some parts of Himachal Pradesh, there are these movements to recognize certain dialects as separate languages, not just dialects of Hindi.
So they want their own distinct languages.
Yes, and it's often tied to this desire for more autonomy and recognition of their unique heritage.
So it's about taking back ownership of their language. And really their cultural identity too, right?
Yes, it's about saying, this is us, this is what sets us apart. Language becomes the symbol of resisting the dominance of Hindi or those other larger languages. It's about making sure they're heard and that their culture is valued.
That's powerful. It makes me think about the challenges of, you know, preserving these dialects, but also letting them evolve naturally. How do you protect them without, like, stopping them from growing?
That's a tough one.
Because
language, it's alive. It changes.
It's always changing.
It's always changing. We need to document them, preserve them as they are now, but we also need to accept that they'll change over time as they encounter other languages, other cultures.
So it's not about, like, freezing them in time, but about, like, making space for them to grow while keeping that core identity.
Exactly. It's about encouraging people to use them in everyday life, in schools, in the media, in art. That means supporting those efforts to revitalize them, creating opportunities for younger generations to learn them, and promoting those cultural events that celebrate them.
And what about technology in all of this?
Technology. It's a double-edged sword. On one hand, the internet and social media, they connect people, expose them to different languages and cultures. It can be great for learning and exchange.
But it can also lead to just a few major languages dominating. And the smaller ones get lost.
We have to be aware of those downsides. And find ways to use technology to help revitalize languages.
Like what, specifically?
Well, we could develop digital resources in these dialects. Create online platforms for learning and exchange, and use social media to raise awareness about the importance of diversity in language.
That makes sense. It seems like a lot of work.
It is.
But it's important work.
It is.
Yeah. I'm curious to hear more about how these dialects are used, like in arts and literature.
Ah, that's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Himachal Pradesh has such a rich tradition of storytelling, folk music, and theater.
Right.
All of which are key to keeping those dialects alive.
Yeah.
Imagine sitting around a bonfire in a village, listening to elders sharing those stories, passed down for generations.
That sounds amazing.
It is.
It makes you realize just how much is lost.
Yeah.
When these languages and the stories they hold disappear.
Exactly. It's not just words that are lost.
Right.
It's a whole way of life, a connection to the past.
Yeah.
A unique way of looking at the world.
And that's something worth preserving.
Absolutely.
We've been talking about, how language can really shape how we see the world, especially in Himachal Pradesh,
right,
where the dialects are so connected to the land, the religion, even politics.
Yes.
But I'm curious about how they show up in the arts.
Okay.
In the stories and songs that get passed down.
Right.
It feels like there's a whole other level of meaning there.
Absolutely. The artistic traditions in Himachal Pradesh are so rich, and language is a huge part of making them come alive.
Can you give us some examples?
Sure. Think about those traditional folk songs sung in dialects like Kullu or Kangri. The lyrics, they talk about love and loss, nature, everyday life.
Right, but it's more than just the words, right?
Exactly.
It's how they're sung, the melodies, the instruments.
Yeah, there's this realness to them.
Right.
It's hard to explain. The singers use techniques specific to their dialects. It creates this sound it's both haunting and beautiful.
Wow.
And the instruments like the dole, the shinai, the flute, they're all connected to the sounds of the mountains, the rhythms of life there.
Do you think you could translate those songs into other languages without losing something?
That's the challenge of translating culture, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can get the basic meaning across, but those little details in the language, the feelings they evoke, the images that are so specific to Himachal, those are hard to capture.
It's like trying to explain a taste to someone who's never had that specific fruit.
Exactly.
You can say sweet or sour, but you can't fully capture it.
You can't, no.
And it's not just music, right?
No. But think about those oral storytelling traditions.
Yeah, the folk tales.
Yes, the folk tales, the legends.
Shared for centuries.
Exactly.
They must be amazing in the original dialects.
They are. You're transported to another world.
Right.
Immersed in the sounds and rhythms of that place.
I can imagine.
There's this story from the Lahal Spiti region, told in the Banan dialect, about a young girl who outsmarts a mountain demon.
Oh, wow.
The way it's told, the words used, it's also connected to the local culture in that harsh environment.
It makes you think about the people trying to document all of this. The linguists, the anthropologists, before it disappears.
It's like a race against time.
Yes, especially with globalization and technology making everything the same.
It is, but it's a fight worth fighting.
I agree.
These dialects, the traditions they carry, they're not just relics of the past. They're living, breathing expressions of culture and identity.
Right.
And they deserve to be preserved, celebrated.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the more we learn about them,
the
more we realize how much they have to teach us.
What do you mean?
About being human, the power of language to connect us.
To each other, to the world around us.
Yeah, to something bigger than ourselves.
It's been an amazing journey exploring language in Himachal Pradesh.
It has.
We've learned how these dialects are part of everything there. From how people see the landscape, to their beliefs, their art, their fight for their own identity.
It's fascinating.
And it's shown me that language is so much more than just words.
It is.
It's like a window into a culture's soul.
Yeah.
So next time you hear someone speaking a dialect you don't know, don't just think of it as different. Really listen,
Yes.
Appreciate the sounds. Think about the stories they might be telling.
You might be surprised what you learn.
That's all for our deep dive into the world of language in Himachal Pradesh.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep listening.